Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 473 of the DrunkNerds podcast. And as always, joining me, I am Tyler. Sorry, and joining me, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up,
Dude,
buddy?
I'll tell you what. I may have a free weekend, but at the same time, I'm fucking ready to get this shit on the road with these games.
Oh, wait, I'm getting a phone call.
Okay.
I'm getting a phone call. Sorry, it's, it's Uncle Phil. It's Uncle Phil. What's that, Uncle Phil? That's Phil Spencer. People, really? Okay. Uh huh. Uh huh. Okay. All right. Well, Gables, this is now the Microsoft's Drunk Nerds podcast. We've just been acquired by Xbox for two $25 Starbucks gift cards. Big time merger. We're doing really good right now. I gotta say it's a win-win for both of us. They've asked me to leave so you can have the show, Gables. But hell, I'm gonna be getting three fucking Trenta
Dude,
coffees.
speaking
But
of Starbucks cards, dude, I actually found one in my workplace, right? Someone donated a Starbucks card and stuff. It was something from, dude, it was like
Snapchat
from
shit up, right?
2017. I'm thinking, oh, you know what? This probably doesn't have anything on it. I'm gonna go for them and give them to my boss. So about a day later or something like that, I come in and it's like my other boss comes up to me. He's like, yeah, so and so called up and said there's actually some money on this thing. So here, I want you to have it. Like, okay. It's like, yeah, you're the only one who does Starbucks. Like, okay. It was like $10. I'm like, hey, I got a fucking,
Nice,
so I got
nice.
a freaking, so I got a fucking free Starbucks coffee on, I think it was like Thursday and stuff, but no, it was like about Wednesday. And then I tried going forth at Starbucks because the other one inside of a subsidiary to Safeway is being built. They're redoing that whole like thing that closed down for like the fucking month and some shit. That's the normal one I go to. And so the drive-through one is going to be closed until Monday. Be I'm guessing because of like either lack of staff or whatever the hell. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, getting that Starbucks card, then going that was all in one day, right? Where it's like got a Starbucks card, and like later on that week, like my boss is like, hey, it's like, who wants a free like Keurig coffee maker? It's like, and she asks everyone, blah blah blah, no one else wants, and she asked me, it's like, hey, Gabe, do you want this free Keurig coffee maker, the single use one? And it's like I go through, I text my mom and stuff like that. It's like, hey, do we need this? And
Fuck yeah, you do.
that's that's not verbatim what my mom said, but it's like, yeah, it was like, sure, yeah, come on, give me this stuff. So I ended up like, because it was donated by one of our volunteers, right? And we're like, it's like, hey, if someone wants it or something like that, they can have it. And I was like, and that's where my boss goes through and stuff. And so yeah, I took home like a 60 to like fucking $80 fucking Keurig coffee maker that was like a single use type of thing. And it's cool because it has the water thing isn't like you don't fill up on the side. It's actually in the back of the device to where you can fill up the water and all this other stuff. I tried it out. It's not bad. I actually took one of the pods of hot cocoa and stuff like that, and like tested it out and all that other shit, and like cleaned it a little bit of it. But dude, yeah, man, it's like positive things happening this week. Like the freaking coffee stuff. But another positive thing is like I've actually been getting more. I actually went back and got more into a game I've been playing, like yeah, off the N64 service on the Switch.
Oh.
So it's nothing terrible. Actually, I've been having a really fucking fantastic time with it because it's been years since I've actually gone through and played it. But yeah, that's pretty much that's pretty much how my week is. Has been. It's like, well, Tyler, I'll bring the floor to you.
Yeah. Gables already knows. I did a 25-minute rant about my week and my day, about work. I'm not gonna get into that
Understandable.
here. I want to have some positive vibes. Had some coffee. It's Friday night. We're doing this. Figured Gables 49ers and my Packers play
Yeah, it's,
tomorrow
it's a
night,
good idea we do it
and
now and not be at each other's throats
yeah,
after tomorrow.
yeah, because tomorrow's one of us is gonna be hurting tomorrow, and it's gonna be late. So we figured it'd be better just get it done
Yeah.
tonight, and then we can at least enjoy slash sulk tomorrow. Um, maybe the Packers 0-3 in the last 10 years against the Niners in the playoffs. So maybe it's our turn to win one. Uh, but yeah. Anyway, that's what we're doing tonight. But I'm doing all right. It's my first beers I've had in 3 weeks since we did the Game of the Year show
Hmm.
on January 1st. And they taste so good. I had some coffee right before that. Um, so it's feeling a lot better now. It's been you know a really crappy week and day. Sitting down, recording a podcast, bullshitting with you for a couple hours beforehand, watching some dumb videos, stuff like that. Kicking his ass in our fantasy
So
critic
far.
league, up by a whopping 6 points. Rainbow Six Extraction not doing as well as I'd hope. Sitting at a 74 right now.
You got 4
not what I
points
was
from
hoping
that,
for.
and then what was the one?
10 from Nobody
Hey,
Saves
there
the
you
World.
go.
So I really thought that would do a lot better. I thought that would do much better. It's still
I
an
actually
80,
am
but
fairly surprised with
Gable.
the game, like Windjammers 2, the game that I had went through and drafted. It did a
Yeah,
bunch better than I thought it initially was going to, and it actually secured like about 7.5 or so points. So it's like, hey,
yeah,
you know what? I'm gonna take
yeah.
it.
So yeah, hey, not bad, not bad. But yeah, so far, I mean, if you missed it, we did a special bonus episode a few days ago, 472. Where Gables and I, for the first time ever, we're doing a fantasy critic league, and we had a draft 20 games each, and then we get to add an additional 12 throughout the year. But once you add them, you can't. Well, there's rules, but like the ones we drafted, we're stuck with permanently for the year. Um, so it was a fun experiment
Yeah.
and fun to do. It's fun to keep track of. One of my games though that I drafted, the very last
Yeah.
game I drafted, Lego Skywalker, the
Uh-huh.
Skywalker Saga, got a release
Oh.
date yesterday,
Oh,
April
there you
5th.
go.
So
There you go.
um, yeah, so I'm doing pretty good. Pretty much the majority of my 20 games I downloaded drafted, have dates now, so that's good. So at least have some guaranteed points, hopefully. Unless they're just really bad, then not so great. But anyways, that is not why we were here, Gables. We are here because, well, we're here every week because this is the DrunkNerds podcast where we just bullshit, have a few beers, and talk about video games. If you like us, you want to hear more from us, please go to all the social channels. We are on them: Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. You name it, we're probably on it. Like, follow, subscribe, comment, share, please. Share's the big one. Go to all those places in the show notes. If you look in there, there'll be a thing called Linktree. That is a place where it has all of our links in one place. Has all of our social media accounts, all of our areas that we're on for podcasts, videos, whatever. We're on there. So if you want to follow us there, subscribe, whatever, we really would appreciate it if you did those. So please do that if you can. But anyways, Gables, we've been doing the show for nearly 9 years now. And I can't think of something that just dropped my jaw like this moment. When I got a text from Justin at 7:11 a.m. I was at work. And a few of us were bullshitting. I was waiting to clock in. Fun fact, Gables. You want to know what I
What?
was bitching about? What video game I was bitching about to
What?
these guys? Death Stranding. When I heard the news.
This is typical Tyler bitching about Death Stranding.
Yeah, on brand Tyler. In case you're wondering if I'm like this on the podcast and the real world, I am. This is just me. Bitching about Death Stranding to these guys. Because I was talking about how I was a Kojima fan. Anyways, I get a text from Justin at 7:11 a.m. that with the picture of Wario 64's Twitter account. Microsoft is acquiring Activision Blizzard. I respond with, "Is this real?" And then I'm like, "Why did I send that to him? I have a computer in my hand. I can look it up myself." I scrolled. It took me because I hadn't looked at Twitter, so I had all the last. Anyways, I scrolled. And I'm like, oh, "This is fake." And then I just see all the holy shits, what the fuck, holy shits. I'm like, "Oh my god, it's real, Gables." Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard King for $68.7 billion. You couldn't round it up, huh? I'm guessing that $300 billion that they didn't spend on buying them is what they're going to pay in fines because Bobby Kotick is a piece of shit. We'll get to that later. The deal should be done as late as June 2023. So to kind of keep in mind here, when they announced that they're buying Bethesda or ZeniMax last year, They said it was going to take a little bit some time, obviously, because they got to go through a bunch of shit. Government's got to get involved, all that. It took about 9 months from when they announced it for the time to go through. Much bigger company, to the tune of about 9.5 times more the amount that they spent on ZeniMax, which was like 7.5 billion to 68.7 billion, nearly 10 times the amount. So it's gonna take a lot longer. Plus, these are two public companies, whereas ZeniMax was a private company. So you got to do a lot of investigation on that, I'm sure. So yeah, a few other things that kind of came out later on. Apparently, Activision approached Xbox or Microsoft for the sale. This wasn't something that happened. It wasn't Xbox going to ask them. Activision, and this is even before the lawsuits, that they were going around trying to shop themselves to somebody. And Microsoft was one of the main people they talked to. There's a lot to break down here, Gables. I don't even know where to start on all this. Some other news. As of right now, Bobby Kotick is in place. There's been some going back and forth on reports that he's going to be there at least until the merger is done. And then he'll be gone shortly after. Some are saying he'll see. There is no plan in that right now. We do have to keep in mind that Microsoft is not legally allowed to interfere with Activision Blizzard in their businesses at all until the merger's gone through. Because there's still two separate entities. They're not allowed, much like with the Bethesda thing. They can't talk about anything. Microsoft can't. They can't really interfere with their business at all until it's gone through. I did want to go through Gables. I want to just go through some of the IPs here. I do want to give a big shout out to gamingbible.uk because this was the best website, the best article I could find. They have literally written down every single IP that Microsoft is acquiring through this. I'm not going to read all of them, but I just want to read through some of them here. We got Apache Air Assault. Remember that game? Blur.
Yep.
The racing game Blur?
That's the racing game Blur.
Split Second was better. Cabela's. Call of Duty. Yeah. Candy Crush. Crash fucking Bandicoot.
That's the big one right there.
The Sony mascot. Crash Bandicoot.
Yep.
Diablo. DJ Hero. Geometry Wars. Fuck yeah, man. Where's Geometry Wars been?
That since the third one came out on multiple platforms years ago.
That third one was very bad. I did not like that third one. Those first two, amazing. DJ Hero. Yeah, I don't know if I said that already. Not already. I did. Guitar Hero. Gun. Hearthstone. Heroes of the Storm. Hexen. King's Quest. MTX Motor Tracks. Oh, those were good games back in the PS2 era. Overwatch. Pitfall.
Well, yeah, this is one of the older companies. Fucking, they own Pitfall.
Fucking Pitfall. Prototype. Remember that fucking game? Prototype. Holy shit. Singularity. That was a good game. That was a very good game. It's a BioShock ripoff, but it was a very good game. Skylanders. Rest in peace. Spyro the Dragon. StarCraft. Time Shift. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. True Crime. World of Warcraft. And that's pretty much it. That's the big ones. There's a lot in here I have no idea. I've never heard before.
No. Sierra wouldn't be a part of that type of stuff.
Sierra is a part of that.
So I was right in my assumption right here. Sierra would be a part of that because I wasn't Activision or some that acquired Sierra games.
Yes, and then shut them down. You're correct. Yes.
So all those point-and-click adventure games from the late 80s to
King's Quest,
90s in that regards that a lot of PC gamers, vintage PC gamers loved playing and stuff. Yeah, those games got bought out too.
Yeah, Soldier of Fortune. My God. Tenchu. Wow.
Dude.
I'm just reading through some of the... I've completely forgot.
Well, that's the thing. It's like... as
Commander Keen.
Okay. Wouldn't it be funny if the reasoning why Microsoft bought out Activision Blizzard was getting the IP of form of this thing, Commander Keen?
That'd be fantastic. I just loved it when Phil did an interview and he's like, "What are some of the things you want?" He's like, well, I'd really love for them to bring back Hexen. It's like, what? Of all the fuck we're talking about Hexen?
Oh, he
Really?
did go on record to say that.
And he mentioned Guitar Hero. I'm like, we don't need Guitar Hero.
Oh,
You can.
you
We
think
don't
you
do that
would?
here.
You think reading some of those names from that list, it's like what? I could just imagine one day if, say, Electronic Arts was picked up, and all of a sudden all the IPs and all this shit from the, maybe not from Microsoft, maybe from Apple, maybe from fucking Sony. Who knows, man? I mean, what? Oh god, what this initial thing was to me was it was kind of, obviously it was definitely a shock. I mean, everybody was in shock yesterday in the gaming industry when simultaneously Microsoft purchased the third largest third party publisher in gaming for close to $69 million. I'm going to say 69. Nice. But at the same time, the impact of that purchase, the amount of IPs that now people are growing more excited about because Microsoft is acquiring it, and more so all of the positive stuff that's been coming out of it. Even like people that are working at Activision Blizzard, like some of the workers that are working at Activision Blizzard, they're more excited now because, for one, Kotick is more than likely possibly going to be out, because even he, during interviews, is non-committal about what he's going to do past June of 2023.
Yeah, I think it's probably
Yeah,
just a legality thing where they
yeah,
probably just can't say it. But yeah, you gotta assume that he knew, like, and that's probably gonna be part of the deal where it's like, you
yep.
gotta go. Like, I can't see Microsoft buying this and saying, yeah,
No,
please stick
they
around.
bought it. I
Um,
mean, they bought it. They probably are going to reward him with quite a big thing, like a golden parachute, and he's going to get off like scot free.
oh yeah, he's reportedly he's gonna get around $400 million out of
And
this.
believe it or not, Kotick,
So
and this is like possibly like a rumor or like from the grapevine or something like that, that he was looking for someone to spend more money than Microsoft to try to purchase Activision Blizzard.
yeah, so I mean, some interesting things out of this. So like, the stock price was worth about 51.2 billion, but just because that's what the stock is worth, and doesn't necessarily mean, people always equate that to like, this is what the company's worth, which,
Yeah,
yeah, to buy all the stock, that's true, but like, to buy the stock at value, that's what it's worth. Nobody's going to sell stock at value because that's not how the stock market works. You pay a premium to buy the stock anyways. So people were reporting that it was probably that uh, Activision Blizzard was probably worth between 65 to like
mm-hmm.
$75 billion. So they got it, roughly, not a bad deal, not a great deal. They got probably a slight discount maybe, because you got to imagine, um, a lawsuit and all. Just, I mean, we've talked about a lot. I mean, I'm not sure, I'm not trying to brush over. It's a very terrible thing that's going on there, and unfortunately, this was the only way
Yeah.
Bobby was going to leave. He wasn't gonna. He's not going to leave on
Oh
his own
no.
fruition. Like, either they're gonna, like the Jeffrey. He's just one of his. He was his name was in the Jeffrey Epstein's little black book. Jeffrey
Yep.
Epstein. But I mean, um, he's still around. All the harassment shit. Being caught on voicemail. And then the company covered it up for a decade of threatening to kill his secretary. And he's still around, like, short of being caught, I don't know, actually murdering somebody. Like, he's not leaving without getting
This
paid.
dude is that's
And that's what goes back to about Activision was looking to sell. So,
like I
oh,
was
go ahead. What were you
saying,
gonna
man.
say?
It's like so be quite frank, he's literally a supervillain.
Yeah, no, like he is. Yeah, I mean, he's Lex Luthor. I mean, he's just, he is like this. What you think of like the worst person, like one, like when you think of the rich and powerful, he is like the shining example of like what you see in like a TV show or a movie of like just terribly shitty guy. Everybody keeps making the jokes about the HBO show Succession, and I've only ever watched the first half of the first season. But yeah, you know what? That sounds pretty accurate. Where it's just like everybody there is pretty shitty, and they keep doing shitty things, and they fall up. This is just the problem with, I mean, good and bad of
Right.
capitalism. Where like the rich and the powerful will always find a way. Like punishment, you get to a point where you have enough money and you have enough power that no matter what you do, you will not you will never feel the full effects of what you deserve when you do something terrible. And even when you do things terribly, you will benefit on the way out the door. And this is like, I mean, we've seen this time and time again of like, the Don Matrick when he got, not Don Matrick. I can't remember I can't remember. I can always mix them up. There's one of the mid 2000 presidents from either Xbox or EA where he got fired from one of them. He went to like Zynga or King or something like that, and he got
Don
fired
Matrick.
after like a year because he was so bad.
It was Don
Don
Matrick.
Matrick, and then they had to pay him $50 million to go away. It's like you could do a bad job, and they still you will leave with life changing generational money. You can just suck at your job, and you will be paid handsomely, and you can live off for hundreds of lifetimes. But I
But
digress.
at the core crux of things, let's
Go
get
ahead.
back to the initial point of this transaction, which is highly hinted at by Phil Spencer and stuff, was because of the huge library of games that could be put onto Game Pass. I mean, this is quintessentially why this acquisition happened. I mean, yes, because of the whole the controversies and the whole lot of various shit going on Activision Blizzard over the past couple of years. Despite all of that and stuff, I had a feeling in the back of my mind, which, you know what, this would lead to something big happening down the line. Never could point a finger at it and stuff. I didn't think potentially waking up one random morning and stuff, looking at my phone around 6 in the morning, and all of a sudden seeing Microsoft buying the entirety of Activision Blizzard. I mean, this is a different scope and scale as opposed to Microsoft buying Bethesda and like ZeniMax Studios and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, we were excited with that, and all of a sudden, it transforms into something even crazier than that. I mean, that's the thing. Leading up until that moment, we were like, Microsoft was heavily hinting that they were not done with acquisitions or purchases and stuff. I mean, we were all speculating the like other types of companies, like third-party companies, like a Capcom or a Sega.
Or not even on that level. Just like Sega was kind of rumored because they've always wanted to get in Japan. But like we were thinking like the Plague Tale people,
right?
Or the people that Avalanche Studios that makes the Just Cause games. Like that's the level we were thinking of. Like this is just like a level that like I don't think anybody thought was possible. We're like Take-Two just set the record for the biggest video game acquisition ever last week when they bought Zynga for $12.7 billion, and breaking that record by $56 billion. Microsoft buys the biggest IP in gaming. Well, maybe not the biggest, but one of the 5 biggest, maybe one of the 10 biggest in all of entertainment, and Call of fucking Duty.
Absolutely.
And then also in there, World of Warcraft is in there.
You have multiple different IPs that defined either generation or that were heavy sellers at their peaks with Activision Blizzard. But even going before this initial purchase and stuff like that, I mean, when it comes to the whole thing in regards to Activision Blizzard by Microsoft and stuff, oh god, I'm starting to lose my train of thought again. But
there's just so much, like there's so many levels. I mean, it's hard to
there definitely
stay on track and stick to a point because there's like 50 different layers to this thing. It is the biggest onion in the world. There's so many layers.
Yes, exactly. And to that point, it's like this is significant in a couple different ways. One, because Activision Blizzard covers throughout the entirety of like all the different consoles and PC in that regards and stuff, it leads to the possibility of like games not appearing onto other platforms and stuff, barring PC, because PC is PC. I mean, Microsoft and PC go hand in hand, but at the same point and stuff, you start to think, what was the best-selling IP last year on the PlayStation?
Well, Gables, that's so funny you may ask, because the exact same day they announced this, the NPDs
Absolutely.
dropped. And I want to get into that here.
This does tie in, so.
Yes. I was reading this. You know me, Gables. I love NPDs. We talk about it every month when these drop out. So you want to know the number 1 and number 2 best-selling game of last year? Let me look at this here. Let me get the glasses fixed here. We have it's
Uh-huh.
Call of Duty Vanguard and Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Well, that's crazy. The top two selling games of last year, Vanguard, which has been out for 7 weeks at that point. I want to do some other searching here, Gables. Let's go down. Let's look at the. All right. Let's look at the top. We have the. I'm looking at it right now. The top 20 selling games for the year for PlayStation. Would you like to know what
Okay,
number one
what's
is?
number one? Yep.
Vanguard. Call of Duty. You want to know what number 3 is, Gables?
Okay, what is it?
Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Let's see here. What do we got? Anything else going on here? It did. I thought I saw. Oh yeah. You want to know where 16
What
is,
is it?
Gables? Call of Duty Modern Warfare from 2019.
It doesn't matter the type of quality these Call of Duty games come out in. It's the fact that they've been consistent top sellers now for the past decade, but in the past couple of years, or even towards like the PS4 like generation with Xbox One and stuff, on PlayStation platforms, they have been top sellers. And the key point is like Microsoft quintessentially, even though Phil Spencer has said, we're not taking Call of Duty away from the PlayStation, he didn't specify which Call of Duty he's not taking off the platform.
Yeah, and I mean, I do want to mention, like I said, legally they can't
Absolutely.
say a lot
You
about
can't.
what they're going to do. Um, but this is also a lot of the same things they're saying about this is the same things they're
Yep.
saying about Bethesda. And I think a lot of it is they just didn't know at the time. But I bet they probably don't 100% know right now either. They got to do the math and figure out what that is. And like Jeff Grubb did a really good job of like reporting a lot of this, and he mentioned that that they did the math on like Starfield and like making the new Bethesda games, and they realized it was going to cost them about $500 million over the next 5 years to go exclusive with the new games. Obviously, they're going to keep. They've talked about like games that have been on these consoles previously, like a
Right.
Fallout 76, Elder Scrolls Online, Skyrim, stuff like that. They're going to keep supporting those and keep doing that. Minecraft, they've always done that with, where Minecraft has always been on these consoles, and they're going to keep supporting them on there. Like that's awesome. They're going to keep doing that. So you got to assume Warzone, it's going to be okay. But I mean, if they're willing to take essentially $100 million loss every year for the next 5 years, to kind of better help Game Pass in the long run, like Game Pass is losing money for them, but that's the future for them. The future, the plan is not necessarily buying consoles, but getting in the ecosystem, and getting in the ecosystem is getting Game Pass, whether it's on PC, on your phone, on an iPad, or owning a console. That's the future, and getting eventually there's gonna be apps on your TV. If they, this is just one step closer to them getting Game Pass on your Switch and your PS5, which we can jump into later if we want to. But yeah, I think it's a very good point where like they said that they're not planning on taking away Call of Duty off of there, but like I think but this is like kind of the same shit like I said they said about Bethesda. And also, I mean, we can't forget that PlayStation has a co-marketing deal with Call of Duty.
That's something I
so they
wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, so legally they have to put these games on there. The only thing is how long is this contract going for?
Nobody
knows the answer. Could it be 2 more years? Like no one's been able to figure it out. I've tried reading about it. I've listened to other people talk about it that know about this shit. Nobody seems to know. So they're required to at a certain point, and we know that they will stick to these contracts because Deathloop is still a PlayStation exclusive, console exclusive, and Ghostwire Tokyo, which isn't even out yet, will also be a console exclusive. They these have 1 year leads on them before they can come to Xbox, and they're sticking to the guns on that. So they have to, for a certain amount of time, keep putting these things on PlayStation. So who knows? But also, like I said, it's gonna take a year and a half before this is done. So you got it. So at least 2022, Call of Duty will be as is. 2023 most likely would probably, I mean, even if there was no co-marketing deal, would probably still be on PlayStation. But after 2024, I think is where I think we'll have an idea of when this contract's going to run out, or at least we'll know if the contract has not run out. Because yeah,
So
quite
soon, we could be seeing an exclusive Call of Duty game on the Xbox.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot going back and forth about this, where people are saying it's nuts for them to do that, but but it's also people said the same thing about fucking Bethesda with like Starfield and all that.
No,
It's like
that's
it's
the
nuts
thing.
to do that. But I'm like,
They
like,
did
but they
it.
did it.
It's
Go ahead.
highly well thought out on Microsoft's part, because quintessentially, not only are you getting a whole bunch of these IPs that people are familiar with, going down like with with Game Pass and stuff like that, but the thing and the fact of the matter is like, not only that though, but you take away a major resource for your competition right here with PlayStation and stuff, because their top sellers, even though they still have Vanguard and they still have whatever they're contractually obligated and stuff like that to put on their systems and stuff like that, that's not going to be forever, because once that deal finally
Yeah.
goes through and stuff like that, if say like a 2023 or 2024 and stuff, if that contract expires by then and that next major Call of Duty is going to be day one on Game Pass, fuck no, this is going to be like a crazy shit. But this is
Yeah.
definitely would be considered a direct shot against their competition with Sony, because it's like, not only are they losing all those various IPs and stuff, it puts Sony in the position of, hey, we got to, it's like they got to introduce something in regards to what they're doing to combat not only with their rumored like Game Pass thing to compete against Xbox, like and Microsoft and stuff, but potentially what is their call to go forth and answer what Microsoft has done with acquiring Activision? Because here's the thing: in the top three gaming
Yeah.
companies stuff right now, and like whatever, you have Sony, you have Tencent, and you have Microsoft now with this acquisition. So it's definitely a lot to unravel and stuff. And even for those that are listening that may not know the severity of what this type of transaction like is, or even like for some people that have been around gaming for quite a long time and stuff, the significance of this is like you have a whole bunch of IPs now that are classic stuff you probably play coming onto the Xbox, but also you have classic IPs that PlayStation used to have back in around the late, like the mid to late 90s with the Crash Bandicoot games, the Spyro games in that regards.
Yeah, those were like their games.
Absolutely.
Those were their mascots.
And now they're going to be exclusive on Xbox.
Yeah, I mean it's so there's so many like I said, there's so many layers of this, and like going back to a little bit here, like like I was saying, like people were saying like it's crazy to go exclusive and crazy, but it's like yeah, it's crazy to go exclusive, but it's also crazy to put these games that sell millions of copies on Game Pass. It's like, well, people like, well, this is Call of Duty. This is the biggest gaming IP out there. I'm like, yeah, you know what? It's also really fucking crazy taking the number 1 and 2 bestseller of the year and putting them on Game Pass, which they're gonna do. So, and then what's gonna be awesome about that is those games do super duper well in fucking microtransactions. And know who's gonna get all of that money?
Yep.
Xbox is, because that thing is only gonna be on PC, which will go through their launcher, whether it's the fucking Microsoft, the Xbox, or the Battle.net
That's
fucking
true.
launcher. They will get all of that fucking money. That's all their money. All of it. It's theirs. They get it. They get to keep it. It's theirs. So they're gonna make that. I mean, they're making that money back. They're not worried about making. This is not like the most capitalist thing. Like it's capitalism. I understand that, but it's not like the capitalist thing where like, we gotta make as much money as we possibly can. Where it's like if they worried about that, they would keep Starfield on PlayStation. They would keep these games on PlayStation. They're not gonna do it. And like I said, like yeah, people think it's crazy to make them exclusive, but like I said, it's crazy to put it on Game
To put
Pass.
into
But they're gonna do
perspective
it.
with things too, it's like when Phil Spencer initially took over for Don Matrick and stuff after the whole Xbox One flop and debacle with that, everything in regards to what they've been planning has been highly like methodical. There have been quite a few missteps and there have been quite a few mistakes they have went through and have done. I mean, throughout the whole entirety of that Xbox One generation, the biggest critique that Microsoft has was console exclusive first party games.
Yeah.
And
yeah, they would try to get them and they would get canceled.
The thing about it that makes it so crazy and stuff, it's like, yes, that was one of their biggest critiques. It takes time. It takes years to create a lot of that exclusive titles from in-house. And so Microsoft, with Phil Spencer going through and literally convincing the higher ups over at like Microsoft and stuff, hey, we need to double down upon what we're doing here with the gaming stuff. because there was at one point where that whole company was going to be pulling out of the gaming market. I mean, that's legitimately what could have happened at one point. But the fact remains is the methodical approach in terms of like things like accessibility, with things like going through and acquiring a lot of these major publishers and like a lot of these big third parties that we used to like look forward to seeing some of their conferences from year to year and stuff like that, or even like some of their IPs we grew up playing and stuff like that. They have now been acquired in almost a super huge like a super huge like package in regards to that of what Microsoft is going through and like offering in that regards. This is something we have not seen, and this is like a gaming company that's quintessentially growing big literally by the year, like the years and stuff like that through acquired acquisitions, their emphasis on trying to expand gaming like companies inside, like just gaming properties inside the supposed metaverse with Zuckerberg and that shit. The supposed like the Game Pass stuff, trying to accelerate digital gaming on consoles and stuff like that. You know, it's that subscription service is like multiple different prongs, like multiple different tiers of complexity that we have not seen from a major gaming publisher try doing. And that was so crazy about this acquisition because, yeah, barring the Zynga acquisition, you know, like with that $11 billion and stuff, that is what we thought could be a possible peak. But yet seeing $68.7 billion and being paid out of pocket, that is what was paid out of pocket by Microsoft. They literally spent the entire worth of Nintendo in order to get fucking Activision Blizzard. And they paid double. Yeah. They paid like double or like more than the initial asking price of what Activision Blizzard wanted.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, it's just there's so many different things like I want to tackle and we haven't tackled. And it's just hard to like because it just gets like the more you think about, the more you talk about the crazy.
It's like exactly. It's like a rabbit hole. It's like you go down different layers of dirt, and all of a sudden you cover more layers of dirt and more complex tunnels you're going through and making, and you're not going to get done with it quick.
It's nuts because like there's so many different like questions like the future of Blizzard, the future of Call of Duty, the future of like these studios where it's like, you know, like part of the reason why like I mentioned like Activision had approached people about wanting to sell.
Right.
And this is even before the lawsuits, all that was even happening, where it got to the point, and we've talked about it over the last couple of years, like, we said the lawsuits, obviously terrible. Can't not mention that. It's awful what's going on there. But sticking just with the business side of things on this, where we have talked about for the last couple of years now, where we've seen Blizzard on the business side, we've talked about it. It's been pretty obvious about how bad things have like, the World of Warcraft subscription rate is dropping. It's still doing incredibly well, but it's dropping. Vanguard, I mean, just recently, is one of the worst Call of Duty launches since 2006, but still by far the best selling game of last year. But in terms of Call of Duty,
considered Vanguard's the worst selling one since 2006. It's still topped the fucking year in sales. What does that say?
Yeah, in 6 weeks. Yeah. But then you look at like that's when you talk about like, you know, Warzone still thing. So I mean, but anyways, but then you look at like High Moon, Vicarious Visions is gone. Toys for Bob has been turned to a support team. They have 12 studios. I think it was 12 studios that are all just working on Call of Duty, and then they have Blizzard, who is just royally fucked up everything they've touched for the last few years, where we went on a whole rant just a month or so ago about how they royally fucked up Overwatch, where they just abandoned that to quickly get Overwatch 2 out, and then the game has just got delayed to 2023. Diablo 4, that game is allegedly a 2023 game. And we talked about just like this was in 2019, Gables,
just the
3 years ago, when
debauchery and all this legendary bullshit that Blizzard did
of BlizzCon. Whereas is this April Fool's joke? It's like all of it. Like it's wild.
But you
what
know
they have
what
done.
Is the most wild thought of it all and stuff? it's like it could easily be like a monopoly thing that could eventually come up in the gaming industry, but it's the most excited I felt like I've been in regards to anticipation of what Microsoft is going to do next in regards to not only this transaction, but potentially what they are going to bring forward. Because, like you were stating before, yes, there are still multiple different layers that be like gone through and served. I mean, for all we know, they could get the remnants of the teams that were working on Call of Duty and possibly reform some of these key groups, bring
Bring
back
back Neversoft.
Neversoft. They could, and here's that, we can't really rule this out. Like bring back Neversoft, Toys for Bob, like all these other like companies that Activision pretty much swallowed and dismantled through their own bullshit, like Sierra and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They have these options, they have these IPs, and they've made a great effort in regards to getting back key people, in order to create those specific type of niche experiences that they want to offer. I mean, case in point, it's like when, like, oh gosh, I'm trying to think of like a good example beforehand. Even with Rare and stuff like that, getting back to the basic stuff, bringing back classic IPs. So instead, like with Rare's backlog, was like Battletoads and shit like that.
Oh my God, Gables. What about this?
Uh-huh.
Toys for Bob makes Banjo
Oh
Kazooie
God,
remake.
Dude, that's the thing. It's like I'm thinking of it now because you mentioned it, you son of a bitch. But still, that's the thing. That's the thing. You can't initially rule it out because that is a possibility now.
I just want to point out we've been doing this for nearly 9 years. This is episode 473. I don't think Gables has ever cursed at me before. I don't think it's ever happened.
The one thing, the one game and stuff that could potentially get me excited about this whole thing without me even realizing, I'm like, holy shit, you are fucking right. That could. And it got me fucking excited. Oh Jesus. But
we do gotta keep it. We do gotta keep in mind. People are going crazy. Like, oh, expect this soon. Expect this soon. We gotta remember, they can't do anything for another year. Probably spring to summer of 2023. So we gotta remember that. We gotta keep them on. They can't even like tell them to start developing thing. Whether World of Warcraft is coming to Xbox soon, because people gotta remember, Final Fantasy 14, the MMO, is exclusive console-wise to
World
PlayStation.
of Warcraft was exclusive to the Xbox, and they reworked the entirety of the fucking classes and shit, and not make them bland as shit. You got yourself a big old war with Final Fantasy 16.
You got then maybe you they in all of this you got like they did announce over 25 million people have Game Pass now, which is awesome. It's the best deal in gaming. It's incredible. Like it's very exciting because it's just like I think Xbox now has 32 studios that they own. What does this mean for Call of Duty? Is it no longer an annual thing? And there's been reports coming out today that Microsoft is considering potentially no longer making an annual thing. What does that mean for like? Does that mean do campaigns go away? Does the multiplayer, does that become, like, do those become more spread out? Do we see more of an Assassin's Creed type thing where you get like over a course of 5 years you get 3 games, kind of a thing where they'll just randomly take a break for a year and they'll do one game, possibly 2 in a row, and then they'll take a break off for a year and then do another game and then do 2, or then take a break and then do 2 games in a row. Is this free up Treyarch to do something else? Is this free up? I mean, Raven is basically the Warzone people. I don't think they're going to get a break, but or maybe they break off and just do like they build separate teams within these studios. Where we see a lot with PlayStation where they don't make a lot of new studios. They just hire more within their current studios and then make 3 teams at each studio. Maybe we see that. It's wild. It's fun right now. We're just in this crazy time right now where it's just like anything is possible. Our minds are going rampant with this, and it's like people are like, I've seen a lot of people like, ooh, it's just a bunch of tired franchises, which I understand. Like these franchises have been around for a long time, but they're the biggest franchises out there. I do want to mention a little bit about people are like going like talking about like monopolies and this consolidation of big companies where like, yeah, that Demolition Man the fantastic movie from the 90s, where everything is just owned by Taco Bell. Like that's becoming more and more real in a lot of ways. But I'll say this, like, but it's weird because we're all super excited and happy about it. And I remember talking to Justin about this, about Bethesda, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, whatever it was. And I mentioned to him, like, it's really weird because it's like, I'm excited, but I don't know why. And he mentions, like, yeah, I'm happy, but I'm happy for Xbox. But I'm not happy about it. And I'm like, yeah, that's like that's the way to put it. And I feel like in this case, when we're here, we're talking about Activision being bought by Microsoft, where it's like we're excited because it's Microsoft, it's Xbox, which everybody loves Xbox right now. The vibes are good, consumer happiness is good, Game Pass is fucking awesome, and Activision is just at an all-time low as far as output of games and all the bullshit going on with them with lawsuits and everything like that. And just everything on top, everything about them is just bad right now. So that's why we're cool with it. If this was fucking I don't know, Ubisoft being bought by, I guess Ubisoft's being has troubles with sexual harassment lawsuits too. EA gets bought by Facebook, we wouldn't be super pumped about that. Or if it was EA being bought by Microsoft, we'd be like a little more. I don't. Okay, like we'd probably be a little more excited because it's fucking Microsoft or it's Xbox, but like we're happy for it because it's one company that we all love right now, buying a company we all fucking hate right now. So like it's definitely a weird thing, and people are talking like, okay, what does PlayStation do? And I wouldn't be shocked if like PlayStation can't do what they do. They can't buy. They don't have Microsoft. PlayStation is the most important thing about Sony. Microsoft, we have talked about many times. Xbox, grand scheme of things, not that important in Microsoft. They have Windows. That will just print money for them forever. You know, they can't go out and spend and drop $50-60 billion without having to take a loan out. Obviously, they can borrow money. It's not a big deal. But I wouldn't be shocked, Gables, if I honestly think that either Square Enix or Capcom will be bought this year will be at least announced to be acquired by PlayStation, Sony this year.
That's not out of the realm of possibility. I know you bring up a great point there. Capcom, Square Enix. If Sony buys either one of them, I wouldn't be surprised by it either. Because let's look at it this way. Sony is not going to buy like one of the other all the other major like third-party publishers, like say like an EA or a Ubisoft. Both of those American, or Take-Two, those American themed, well, mostly American themed, except for Ubisoft, that's like France, and they're all over the place Europe, and stuff France, like that. Canada, the point being is Sony is not going to go out and just buy one of those major like third-party publishers outright. It's going to be something that's going to amass by trickling in, maybe getting a few of the ones that make sense for their platform, but the key thing is to try to keep it from going on and being acquired by Microsoft. That's what I kind of feel like that's part of what's going to happen. And if they truly want to get back inside their good graces to the, like, say, their homeland in regards to Japan, because it seems more and more Sony and like PlayStation in general and stuff is less focused upon its own like homegrown like territory and stuff and more focused upon American stuff.
Oh yeah.
Acquiring a company like say like with Capcom or Square Enix and stuff like that, I mean, they're rooted Japanese companies. And it's like acquiring one of those two, even like a Square Enix with their various things, the library, their luscious like IPs that they've got. You know, you got your Final Fantasies, you got your Dragon Quest games, you got all these various like RPGs and all, even like things like with Tomb Raider and like the IPs from like the IDOS stuff, like say Tomb Raider, Avengers. I mean, yeah, we can say what we will about Avengers and stuff like that, but it's just the fact of the matter is, it's like Square Enix to PlayStation. I could see that because for a good solid decade plus, that was the platform that you would play. And even like say Sony, even though I don't see it happening soon, acquiring something like a Sega, because a lot of the platform, a lot of the IPs that Sega owns, especially when it comes to Atlas, a company that Sega owns, are generally PlayStation games.
Yeah.
Though there is rumors in regards to like potential like multi-platform releases of like some of the games that Atlas has, like especially with the Persona series in that regards.
No, that makes too much sense, and Sega's too bad at business to put their games that
They're
sell super well into the
super far
platforms. They won't
behind
do
when it comes to a lot of their stuff.
it.
This is the same
It's like
company that
people.
fucking was so shocked that Persona 4 Golden so well on Steam.
Yeah, I was gonna make the same reference that they were shocked how well it sold on
Vita's number
PC.
one.
That they just didn't release any of their games
Yeah,
on any
the
other platform.
PlayStation Vita's
Like,
number
what?
one best-selling game, and quite honestly, I feel it's the best game on that platform, Persona 4 Golden. And yet they still didn't put two and two together that hey, oh,
They put it on PC, Gables. They put it on PC, and that's what I mean. It sold extremely well, and they were stunned by it. And then they just didn't
well, what
do
do
it
you know?
again.
A long quality game actually sells. Hey.
Yeah. We should probably put this on other things. I bet more people buy it.
Oh,
Nah, it's
jeez.
crazy. That's great. Persona 5, we should probably put that somewhere else. No one will buy it.
But
No one will buy it.
in the long
It won't
story
sell.
of long story short with this stuff, it goes back to reiterate what I'm saying before. Sony has to answer this back in some form of way and stuff. They can't initially just let this kind of thing like slide in that regards. It's not like say the end of the world. Okay, this big third party publisher and stuff is like they're not going to have a lot of their games past like a certain extent down in the future. But the thing is, there are plenty of questions that need to be asked. It's like if they are going through with their own type of Game Pass service, as evident by like their PlayStation Now cards being taken off their freaking store shelves and stuff like that from major retailers. The whole like rumors going on the past year of them possibly teaming up with things like Crunchyroll or something to offer like a service for like a yearly subscription alongside PlayStation Plus, and also in regards to like the backwards compatibility potentially of like PS3 games or whatever the fuck, just ironically just showing up on the PlayStation Store, like in terms of PlayStation 3 games actually showing up in the store. I mean, the shit's got to hit the fan at some point right here. It's like for them to get like a little bit more like competition in regards to using their own Game Pass like system, they got to do something in regards to.
Well, we have the Spartacus rumor coming up. We talked about PlayStation Now
yes.
going away last week, but yeah, I mean, I think, but it's not going to be the level, and it'd be really stupid for them business wise to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Game Pass is a thing because nobody. I mean, not to be a dick here or to talk shit. I'm not trying. I love Xbox. We spent a whole fucking 53 minutes ranting about how much we love it. But the key, the factor is that just nobody was buying Xbox exclusives, like the big exclusives. We thought Halo Wars 2, a game with Halo in it, in the title. Halo Wars 2 didn't even sell 500,000 copies on Xbox.
It didn't.
Where a PlayStation Days Gone sold nearly 8 million copies.
Yes.
Like Days Gone, a game that wasn't very good, sold 8 million copies. Spider-Man, God of War, all those games sold almost 20 million copies. Like their games sell. Their game they don't sell Nintendo well, but who does, first party wise. So it'd be really stupid I would love it if they came on Game Pass for PlayStation and they put fucking, I don't know, the next Horizon on there, God of War Ragnarok, and I could just pay $15 and get it. That'd be amazing. But they won't do it, and I get why they won't do it. And I'm totally fine spending the $70 to buy it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just so like people are like excited about this prospect. I'm just like, it's hard to get excited because I just don't know what it will be and what will be on there. Now, if they buy a Capcom or a Square Enix and they put those games on, like the older games on there, now we're talking. And then kind of go back to that where I think when I mentioned Square Enix Capcom, when you look at like the previous, it's much like Nintendo. When Nintendo buys a studio, which doesn't happen very often, but when they do, it's somebody they've worked with a lot in the past, like a Monolith or a Next Level. You look at like the studios that PlayStation has bought recently, were like Fire Sprite, Blue Point, and there's a couple others they bought recently. I can't think of off the top of my head, but like all these studios they've been buying, and there's like the PC company, the sports studio they just bought. Um, all of those they've been working with a lot over the last decade or more. Um, so they have those deals in place. This isn't like an Xbox where they're just buying these studios out of the blue. Where like PlayStation is buying these studios. Where like we talked about them buying Bluepoint for years. Like that's just happening. It's gotta happen. Oh, the Returnal studio, they just bought that. That was one of the ones I couldn't think of. But like they've been put. Resogun was a fucking PlayStation 4 launch game. Like they've had years of a decade or more of putting games out for them. So that's why I think Capcom, when you look at like, like they've had a lot of deals in place with them with like Resident Evil 7 VR. They have had like the Resident Evil 8 they had a marketing deal with them. And they like exclusive content coming to them. They've had a lot of deals in place with them before. You look at Square Enix, like I said, Final Fantasy 14 is right now a console exclusive. Final Fantasy 7 Remake, Final Fantasy 7 16, all console exclusives to PlayStation. They have a lot of deals in place. Spider-Man coming to Marvel's Avengers, like they have deals with them in place to put these games on there and have exclusive either deals or content. So I would lean towards. I bet Square Enix is probably the most likely one to happen. I think it'd be the one that would be more exciting. I think for PlayStation fans, but it's not something I necessarily want. People are like, "Ooh, what is the Xbox going to buy next?" It's like I don't really know if I want them to buy anything. At least like I find like buying like a Double Fine, like that's awesome, that's cool. Or buying these smaller studios, I'm not going to complain about that. But it's like I don't want them. I don't want EA to get bought by one of them. I don't want Nintendo fucking buying Take-Two or something. I don't want that to happen. Although it would be funny to put GTA 6 on Switch. If GTA 6, actually, I take that back. I would be totally cool if GTA 6 is a Switch exclusive. I would love that. I would love to play GTA 6 online on Switch online. That would be fucking amazing. Oh my god. Please do it. Please make it happen. I want that more than anything.
Worse than like fanboys like cringing because the fucking Bayonetta 2 was like a Wii U exclusive at one point.
Oh my god, that's still my all-time favorite thing. Where it's like this thing wouldn't happen if Nintendo wouldn't have done it, but I'm also mad about it. It's like what? Fuck off. I don't know. It's this whole thing. It's just it's crazy. It's like it just feels like it's that Kevin Garnett moment after he won the NBA Finals. Anything is possible, Gables. Anything is possible. Like there's just some forbidden doors you didn't think would ever be opened, and now I feel like anything can happen in the gaming world right now. I do want to mention it's something I kind of want to talk about. At what point does Game Pass possibly become a bad thing for gaming?
At what point when it does become a bad thing?
Because this is where I'm worried about. Where like I have talked to a lot of people about sorry for audio listeners, I'm getting a little framey over here with my computer. But like you look at the early days of mobile. People were willing to spend a few dollars on mobile games. And then free to play became a thing. And then no longer were people really willing to spend money to buy a game. They're only willing to download free games, and then maybe they spend money once they're in the ecosystem, but they wouldn't pay money. You look at like Super Mario Run was considered a failure. Came out, I think it was a $10 game, and then it sold very well, for all things considered. But for mobile, it was a huge disappointment. And I'm worried that we might get to a point where gaming right now is the most expensive it's ever been to make a game. Price of games hasn't gone up. It's gone up $20 in 20 years. And we've heard a lot of people pissed off about them going up $10 this generation, which I've talked about. It's $10. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to allow $10 to interfere with me having a great time. Obviously, I mean, maybe I'll be pickier about some things I pick up, but God of War Ragnarok, the extra $10 will not stop me from buying God of War Ragnarok. But anyways, I'm just concerned because I see so many people. I kind of look at you look at the movie industry where it's like, you've heard it for the last since Netflix became like really like the whole streaming thing blew up, where it's like oh, I'll just wait for it to come to like a streaming service one of these days. Or I'll just do this. Like even for me, like where it's like, people don't want to buy movies anymore. Like even digitally, people don't want to buy too many movies, digitally, physically, because they're just gonna wait. I'm like, I'll just wait, 6, 8, 9 months for it to come to Netflix or HBO Max or whatever. I'm not gonna go to a theater to go see it. And we see that we're like nowadays, most movies if a movie comes to theaters, it's like a big, huge blockbuster. Like it's got to be $1 billion hit or it's a failure kind of thing. Um, we don't see like that middle tier movie has kind of gone away where it's like those movies that like just make 60, 80 million, $100 million in theaters is just like it's not worth the risk to make this $15 million movie and put it in theaters. It's not worth it. Like we'll make this five. Like so now you see like a lot of indie movies coming out, or you see like those. It's very rare to see those kind of movies come out anymore at theaters. Like they're not like how they used to be. It's like it's the next Marvel movie, the next DC, the
Yeah.
next big IP, Lego, Matrix. What like it's a known franchise or IP that's coming to like because people aren't willing to spend money. Will wait for it to come to a streaming service. They already have later. And I grow concerned in the gaming world, and like I was mentioning with like mobile gaming, where like once free to play blew up, it's like, well, I'm not gonna spend $1 to buy this game where there's a million free to play games I don't have to spend a dime on. Uh, it concerns me where I see a lot of people saying, I'll just wait for it to come in game. Even like talking ship, like, uh, it's like everybody there is the last year or so. It's like turn to Game Pass. A lot of that, my fault, Gables. I turned a lot of people on the Game Pass and a lot of people bought Xboxes because of me. I will admit that. And I love Game Pass. It's an awesome deal. I love it. I'm not even trying to make a joke at this point about that. It is the best deal in gaming. But it concerns me where it's like, is there a point where we go too far in that level where people are just like, well, I'm just going to buy an Xbox One S or Series S, or even maybe an X, and I'm only going to play things that come to Game Pass. And for a lot of, and like, it's kind of hard sometimes because like we are in the weeds. We are the hardcore gamers. We read a lot about a lot of shit. We buy a decent chunk of the games that we
Yes.
want to play, but like there's a lot of people out there that are like more casual. Don't like they would like they don't only buy the 1, 2, 3, 4 games a year, and that's it. And it's like, at what point does Game Pass become eventually a bad thing? Where like I said, the budget for these games, where like a PlayStation 4 game costs 150 to $200 million to make. Now we're 10 years ago, it cost 20, $30 million to make a game, and now it's 6, 7 times the amount. The price of a game has only gone up $10 at that point. And like, where do we hit that point? Where it's like we've gone too far in one direction, where it's like we keep expecting more and more and more from these consoles and more from these games, but now we're at a point where we want to spend less and less and less than ever before. And I'm like, that's great, like I'm all for getting the best deal out there. I'm not trying to be like this elite thing. Like, I'm not an elitist. I mean, I live by myself. I don't make a ton of money. I live paycheck to paycheck like everybody else. But like, I don't want to sit there and say you have to buy these games or full price or whatever. But there's a point where it's like we can't have both. We can't keep the bar can't keep going up while we are willing to spend less and less. And that's where my concern is. Like, I just talk about Call of Duty is the biggest IP out there, the number 1, number 2 best selling game of the year last year. And those games are about to come to Game Pass and be the cheapest they've ever been. Ever. 15, 16 years ago, they were
Yep.
$60. Now they're $15 a month. I don't. That's what concerns me. Where it's like I love Game Pass, I do, but at what point I don't like. At what point do we cross that line of no return where it's like the bubble bursts? Like I talked about a couple weeks ago, where like, where does that bubble burst in subscriptions? Where everybody has a fucking, there's a Ubisoft, there's an EA Play, there's a PlayStation, there's an Xbox. Look at Entertainment World. There's a Paramount. Paramount has a network. Fucking Netflix, Prime Video, Hulu, Disney Plus, HBO Max, the base HBO. There's CBS. There are so many subscription services. Fucking Peacock, like Tubi. There's so many out the crackle. There's so many. I just keep thinking of more as I'm talking.
Paramount Plus.
What? Yes. At what point does that bubble burst? Where like we talk about, like, people like would bitch about like, oh, cable's so expensive. I'm paying $100 a month for cable, and then people are spending $150 a month on subscription
They're paying
services.
more on subscription services than they actually are doing with cable on some case.
Yeah, and you can argue that the content is better overall. We're getting more. We have more options. We have more high quality TV shows. We have more movies to watch than ever. But it's like, we are people that can only consume so much. It's like, even for me, like, I hit that mark about a year ago, where it's like, I'm sitting there doing the math. I'm sitting there break down. I have a fucking whiteboard over here that I look at every month, and I break down all my bills and like that. I look at, okay, here's what's coming up this week, and I'm like, a year ago I hit that point where I'm just like, I have YouTube TV, I have Hulu, I have Disney Plus. I'm paying $100 and some odd a month for all these subscription services, and I use one or two. Maybe. It's like, so like, I hit that point, for myself personally, and I probably have, I don't know, I don't have a significant other. I don't have kids. I work a shit ton of hours, but I probably have more free time than most. That have a family out there. It's like, I can't keep up with all this shit. Like, it's not worth it for me. And I don't know. The more I think about it, the more concerned I get about this awesome service. At a point, there might be a point where, like, it just becomes too awesome, and it becomes unsustainable, or either the price gets incredibly high for this thing, where it's no longer like $15. Don't think about it. Comes out, it's worth it. Even if I don't use it for a month, it's still worth it to have just around. Just to, like, once a month, just scroll through and look at all the options I have. Maybe it becomes $25, $30 a month. Or maybe at the point where, like, okay, well, we can't make a 5, 6, $200 million games a year. Well, now we can only afford to make these $50, $60 million games instead. I don't know. I don't know. It's just something I want to throw out there, because I don't feel like a lot of people are talking about it. And maybe it's years down the line we have to worry about this, but I think it's a fair question. I don't know, Gabe. I mean,
all right? So there's a lot to unpack in regards to what you were, like, bringing up in that regard. So when does Game Pass start becoming a detriment more than it actually has, like, in regards to being so awesome right at this moment in time? And there are a couple of different key points I can think about. One, oversaturation. We're seeing it right now with the various streaming services on multiple different media platforms. So for video streaming, obviously, it's the multitude of the whole streaming, like, bubble, as you were, just echelon, just talking about in regards to having Netflix, having Hulu, have Disney Plus, and all this, say, so on and so forth, to the extent where it's increasing people's bills so much to where it's like some are paying initially over than what they would have been when they still had cable. But this initial oversaturation of, like, subscription services and stuff like that, oversaturation of it means more people are going to grow tired of the initial streaming service eventually, especially paying a lot of the lump sums for each individual one, and then it's going to consolidate down, and the bubble eventually is going to burst in that stuff. And what I think is, with the oversaturation, that's going to lead to, obviously, some streaming services being, like, busting and stuff like that, or joining with other companies and stuff like that to form, like, bigger chunks, but less in terms of itself. I mean, we're starting to see things in certain, like, the streaming stuff, but that's one key point and stuff like that with Game Pass and stuff. One of the major things I could think of that could potentially happen is, like what I was stating previously, with oversaturation in regards to how many people have this Game Pass, how many different types of service. If Microsoft were to be successful in putting it on, say, a PlayStation or a Nintendo system and stuff, and then many people have that sort of access to that much variety, yes, that's going to go forth and like get people more akin, more trained in regards to playing games off of that type of a service. But another thing that you could potentially have is the ever increasing amount of games being put on the service that have like less content or something, or there's less amount of concrete worthwhile games playing inside of the year say they released. So I know one critique that I've had with in regards to Game Pass, especially over the past year, is yes, you would get various games released on it, but in terms of certain indie games and stuff, the thing about it is it could be a mixed bag. One indie game you're going to extremely like, one you're not going to like so much, and so forth. I think you've even brought this up too, Tyler, on occasion, where it's like some parts of games on Game Passes are maybe like possibly a 7 at best in terms of some playability or this or that. But there are plenty of awesome games on Game Pass's service now.
Yeah, but I do want to mention. I think that's kind of the best part sometimes about Game Pass, where it's like this game is a 7, but I'm really happy it's on Game Pass because I beat this game, and I enjoyed the hell out of it because it's a 7, and it's on Game Pass. Like the Gunk I just beat a month ago it was on Game Pass, and I'm like, that game's a 7. But I had a blast with that game. It's a good time. It's a good 5-hour game. But if I would have dropped $30 on it, my opinion probably be a lot different.
At that point too, it's like I could potentially see like more games like saying just like with that 7 or even below like narrative being released on there in terms of like say less content on it and more so in terms of like of a microtransactional type of thing, kind of similar to like what a mobile type of thing. That's personally I'm just guessing in that regards, but I feel like that there are going to be some cues taken from like mobile in that regards to where the thing about mobile stuff like you've already went forth into depth about and stuff is that quintessentially people got so tired of like paying more than say like $1 for certain content and stuff. They've been conditioned, oh okay, so the average mobile game you pay $1 or some or an entry in and stuff, and you pay all these various microtransaction stuff just to go through and like do this and do that with this one game, just to see your artificial like resources and stuff fill up and this and that. That's the same type of thing have a fear in regards to Game Pass, to where because so many people have it and because so many people play it, the content of the game in and of itself is going to de-evolve from having all these great games and stuff like that initially on the service through licensing, through this and that, but then newer games coming out that take more content out and then more content out and even more content after that, to where you're initially just nickel and diming every single bit like you have been for like other free-to-play games,
Yeah. Well, it goes back to what I was saying earlier, like with Call of Duty coming to Game Pass, where it's like, at what point it doesn't make sense to do a single player campaign? Because it's coming to Game Pass. Like, I can understand like you're still gonna be selling a box of this. You're still gonna be selling this, on Xbox. You're still gonna be selling this on PC, and it'll probably still sell really well. Like Forza Horizon 5 was number 20 best-selling game of last year. And that game came out in early November, and that game was on Game Pass. Like, at what point does like, do they, like you said, they kind of like nickel and dime it, or like where they try to like cut costs somewhere? It's like, well, it's like, what's the point? And we see this like Black Ops 4 didn't have a fucking campaign. Like, I don't know. I'm just wondering what is the future of this world we're in, where like these high budget AAA games. What's the future for them in this world where like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to. I'm happy Game Pass. I mean, I love Game Pass. We've talked about it over and over again. I'll say it. I'll shout it from any fucking rooftop. I think I almost single-handedly responsible for talking shit, going from a pro 360 era to pro PS4 era to back to Xbox era. In the last like 12 to 15 months, raving about Game Pass. So it's just, I don't know. It's just, it's weird. I do, Gables. I
Okay.
do want to move on real fast. We gotta get off of this. Are you looking at
Yes, I
screen
am.
share right now? All right. I want to type something in. I have purposely waited
Okay.
not to say anything because I'm gonna put the time code in first for people, um, for everybody here. So um, I'm gonna type this in here for you, Gables, and I want to just see your reaction. So for audio listeners, I apologize. Give me a second here. How do I type this in here?
Mm-hmm. What? Is this a thing?
You want to just read you want to just read
Yes,
what I typed out?
exactly. Okay, for our listeners, Tyler just went through and typed in something right here that kind of threw me for a loop. Hyrule Warriors makers making a Mario Muso game. Is this a joke or is this a real thing?
This is a real story. So this hasn't been confirmed. This is a rumor. This is a rumor, but it's a very good rumor. These are from people I hear a lot of good leaks
Right?
from. That the Hyrule Warrior devs are making a Mario Muso game.
I don't know how to feel about that. My brain is literally going into 3 different directions right now because I'm just seeing Goombas flying across like a fucking battlefield, dude. There's 50 of them just go bopping everywhere.
I'm just seeing fucking Mario doing his like kick jump thing and just like kicking like 50 fucking Koopa Troopas in the air.
Just in the Invincible Star, you just get like over 100 fucking Goombas like across everywhere.
Oh my god. I just wanted to I've been waiting days for this reaction. My week has lived upon this reaction for this news. When I heard this news, I'm like, I can't wait to tell Gables.
Okay, that's something even I wasn't even aware that rumor was circulating because I have been normally keeping mum in regards to any type of rumors in regards to either Nintendo or what Sony or even with Microsoft are fucking doing. I mean, I see their news bulletins and stuff, but I didn't realize this was a rumored thing.
It's a new one. It's just kind of what I heard. Yeah, I hope to God this is
I
real.
want to see the footage of this. If this is real.
I can't wait. I don't know how far along this is. I don't know how far out it is, or even if it's even eventually become a thing. But at the very least, it is in the making. Whether or not it ever sees the light of day, who knows? But my God,
Like,
Gables, I so badly would love a what would this be called? I don't even know. Like
my
Mario Warriors.
Super Mario Warrior Dynasty.
Oh my God. Well, they're gonna have the Warriors in the title. Like they even had the Fire Emblem Warriors,
Mushroom
like,
Kingdom Warriors.
Mushroom Warriors, not sexual. Uh,
Oh my god.
I can't.
Uh,
Oh boy, yeah. I just wanted to see that. That was all I really
Mario
wanted. But
Brothers.
yes, this is apparently a real thing that's happening, Gables, and
Oh, you have fucking
I
King
can't.
Bowser just going through and just issuing his big old fleet of like Goombas, Paratroopas, and fucking like Babobs and shit.
I can't wait to play it. I can't wait to play as. Man, if fucking Meowser isn't a playable character in this, I'm gonna be pissed.
Oh, you see like characters just like Mario, Luigi, and like fucking Toad or something like that. Fucking Toad.
Yeah. Oh man.
God.
God. I was getting ready to do like a Toad impression, but I don't know how well
You
it
can
worked out
just
for
see
me.
him like just going for just being
Mario! Oh, it doesn't work. It doesn't.
like
It hurt
freaking.
my throat. God, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, audio listeners. That was really loud.
You just hear Luigi like just the battlefield going on like, oh no.
Oh no. Yeah. So this. Yeah. Yeah. This is apparently a real thing. And I just wanted you to see. I just wanted you. I wanted to. That's all I wanted.
Just,
That's all. That
the
got me
last
through the
image
week.
I have is like fucking Toad just annihilating the shit out of a bunch of like fleet of like swarm of Goombas or Paratroopers and shit. It's like, I'm the
Oh my God, Waluigi is a playable. Yes, please.
He
Oh my
just break
God,
dances
I
for his
want that.
attacks.
God damn it, fucking fuck. I just want to see Wario throw like a fucking garlic grenade. Oh man, yeah. I have no idea what this game. I hope it's real. At the very least, if it gets canceled, I at least want to be able to like see the early like development shit for
If
this.
that
That's all
releases
I
and it's
want.
actually legitimately awesome, it's going to be something that it's going to be incredibly
I
legendary.
mean, who would have thought Hyrule Warriors 1 would be amazing? It's funny because I was talking to our friend Yoshi Fett, um, and we were joking around about football, and he's like, if you want to, in our messaging group, and he's like, if you guys want to kick me out, it's fine. I'm like, I would, I can't remember what we were talking about. I'm like, I would love to kick you out, Josh, but I'm like, his name is real life name is Josh, but I was like, if I kick you out, I have no one to bitch about fucking Age of Calamity with. He says, oh yeah. So because like it's about twice a year we end up bitching, like probably 4 times now since that game came out. We have gone just randomly bitched about that game on Twitter or Facebook. So I need him for that because I have no one to complain about that game with. Because I actually talked to him in the years ago when they both had a Wii U. I told him to buy Hyrule Warriors and that him and his daughter would love it, and they 100% of that game
Wow.
together. And they bought Age of Calamity, hoping for the same thing, and that game ran so poorly. It was just not that good. That they both, like he said that him and his daughter had a discussion. This was a few weeks ago. That him and his daughter had a discussion, and they said that his daughter said that it was the most disappointing game she's ever played. And I'm
Damn,
like,
that's
God,
harsh.
that's yeah. But it's all, you know what? It's accurate. It's accurate. But anyways, I do, Gables, after talking about the doomsday that is possibly Game Pass in the future, let's talk about how awesome Game Pass is right now.
All right.
Uh, take some sharp turns here. Uh, what you want to know, Gables? You want to know what the fuck we get in January
Sure.
for Game Pass? All right, let's talk about how awesome Game Pass is this month. We get Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc
Mm-hmm.
Anniversary Edition. Say that 5 times real fast. We get my number 6 game of the year. Fantastic game. Death's fucking Door. Game Pass out now. Game is amazing. Gables,
Mm. Yeah.
play it. Fucking play it. Hitman Trilogy is on Game Pass. Nobody Saves the World. It's one of my games for the Fantasy Critic League this year. I heard pretty good. It's the I always forget the name of the
Mm-hmm.
Guacamelee, the makers of that. Paparazzi, which I just want to check the fuck out. That game looks like it could be fun. You take pictures of dogs, Gables. Is there anything better than that? I don't know. I can't think of anything. Um, Rainbow Six Extraction, my 74 on Open Critic. That's fine. I do want, at least I've downloaded it. I'm gonna check it out at least. Your one of your games,
Mm-hmm.
Windjammers 2, is on Game Pass. I'm not Taki no
Taiko no
Tazu.
Tatsujin. And that's a drumming game.
Well, I'm in. You talked me into it, Gables. Rainbow Six Siege Deluxe is on there. Um, And also, we have Anvil, which is a
Okay.
game preview game. Archville, oh, never mind. This is a different thing I'm looking at here. There was another list I had. I don't have the list in front of me. Anacrusis was another one though I want to
Okay.
talk about. That is like it's an early access right now, but people on Steam have been loving that game. It's kind of like an alien version of like
Uh-huh.
Left 4 Dead, but it's an early access. But people have apparently been raving about how awesome that game is. So I just want to mention it. But Game Pass
Yeah.
looking pretty good right now. Looking pretty good right now. I definitely want to check out Hitman. It's one of those games I've always wanted to check out, and I just never have done it. And now I have no reason not to. But yeah, I just wanted to, man, whew, looks like it's going to be a good month, Kibbles. I got some games that are going to hold me over until, I guess, next week we get
Yeah.
Pokemon. So I'll have some shit to play this weekend at the very least. And then real fast, before we get out of here, I do want to talk about NPDs. We've been all over the map this week. It's been crazy. But we went over a lot of this. I do want to mention some other. Just kind of go through the full list real fast. This is the top 20 selling games for the year of 2021. I already mentioned number 20,
Right.
Forza Horizon 5. Number 19, Mortal Kombat 11. game that came out 2 years ago. Uh, number 18, a day one Game Pass game. Number 18, Back 4 Blood. Number 17, Smash Bros. Ultimate. 16, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. 15, NBA 2K22. 14, Animal Crossing New Horizon. 13, Minecraft, another Xbox game. Number 12, FIFA 2022. Sorry, FIFA 22. Number 11, Far Cry 6. Number 10, Super Mario 3D World, which is the remake or the remaster with Bowser's Fury. Number 9, MLB The Show 21, which is also a Game Pass Day 1 game. Number 8, Resident Evil Village. Number 7, Mario Kart 8. Number 6, Miles Morales. Number 5, Battlefield 2042. Number 4, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. Number 3, Madden 22. Number 2, Black Ops Cold War. Number 1, Call of Duty Vanguard. I feel like you look at this list, it's like, yeah, it makes sense. I don't, it's like when you look at like the year overall, it's like, yeah, no, I don't really see anything crazy here.
Nothing really nothing really surprising there. I mean, everything else is, just riding the place where I would have expected it to be. I mean, hell, Call of Duty, Madden, Pokemon Shining by Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, the number 4. I mean, yeah, I'm actually surprised seeing that at number 4. I thought it would be at least down the top 10 list.
Yeah, I'm not shocked it's in the top 20, but I'm shocked to see it at number 4, especially that being a mid-November game. But yeah, it's like I said, it's all like the IPs you expect. Like Back 4 Blood maybe being number 18. That's kind of maybe a little shocking. I don't know. We do have some like the top 20 selling games for Nintendo of last year. Number 20, Luigi's Mansion 3. I do want to mention 19 of the 20 are Nintendo games. Nintendo first-party games. The only one that's not a Nintendo published game is a Nintendo exclusive from Capcom. But number 20, Luigi Mansion 3. Number 19, Mario Golf Super Rush. Number 18, Ring Fit Adventure. Number 17, Mario Odyssey. Number 16, Mario Party. Number 15, I should mention, I guess, Super Mario Party, because there's 2 Mario Parties now. Number 15, Mario 3D All-Stars. Number 14, Minecraft. Number 13, new Pokemon Snap. Number 12, New Super Mario Brothers. Number 11, Metroid Dread. Number 10, Skyward Sword. Number 9, Pokemon Sword and Shield. Number 8, Mario Party Superstars. That's a new one. Number 7, Breath of the Wild. Number 6, Monster Hunter Rise. That's by Capcom. Number 5, Smash Bros. Ultimate. Number 4, Animal Crossing New Horizons. Number 3, Super Mario 3D World. Number 2, Mario Kart 8. And number 1, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, once again, not a big time shocker there. Just kind of, I want to kind of see if there's anything worth mentioning for Xbox. No, not really. I mean, the list is, I mean, I don't think there's anything really worth mentioning there. I mean, it's all the same shit that you've seen on the other list here. Yeah, I mean, not really too big of a surprise when you look at it. A lot of big IPs here. It's like, I don't know, it's just kind of, it's interesting. Like we talked about, like you look at like the number 1, and or even you go look at Xbox here. The number 10 best-selling game on Xbox last year, Modern Warfare. number 2 and number 1, Black Ops Cold War, Vanguard. So I mean, even for Xbox, these are the 3 of the top 10 selling games of last year, and they're gonna be on Game Pass here in a couple of years. So yeah, I don't know. Fucking wild times, Gables. But yeah, I don't know. Kind of I don't know. I want to see if I don't know if the December NPDs are out yet, because I want to look at those. I don't know if we've seen those yet. Those are the 2021 ones, because that's exciting, because it's just like what you expect. But that's kind of always a disappointment when you get to like November. It's like that's when all the big IPs come out, and it's just like, yeah, okay, yeah, it makes sense. So yeah, well, maybe next week I'll come back with the if there's anything worth talking about in December, we'll come back to it. But yeah, Gables, I've had no time to do anything this week, so I've definitely not played games. I downloaded Rainbow Six Extraction. That is the most I've done in gaming this week. Is there
okay? So yeah, there is at least one thing I've done. The other one was downloading a game onto my freaking PS4 that stealth released and stuff, which I think you're gonna probably like too, which is called Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. It's a free-to-play one, yes, but I haven't gotten around to trying it. I
did see that just shadow dropped.
Absolutely, it did.
So.
But the main thing I wanted to like talk about is I ended up playing a lot. I mean, it's been like one of the themes that I've been going on the past week and a half, where I've gone through the N64 expansion thing, testing out like a lot of the games in terms of the emulation stuff and this and that. End up playing through a good slew of them. I did go through and do a casual play of like Star Fox 64. I managed to go through that, but I started up Paper Mario again, like on that service.
Okay.
Paper Mario is a game I've played off and on for like over 20 years at this point, because it's like 64. It was one of those underrated classics when it was first released. Not a lot of gamers were going through and trying to play this game because they were so excited about like games at the time, like on the PS2 and like coming up with the GameCube and this and that, to where 2000 hits and then Paper Mario releases and this and that. But no, this is like something different in regards to how I'm playing through it. For one, I'm actually playing through with decent save states. I mean, granted, there are some little hiccups here and there in regards to this version of Paper Mario. There is a little bit of lag in regards to not only certain like navigation stuff, their menus. Personally, I didn't really notice too much of it, but it is noticeable when you're trying to do like inputs in regards to when Mario does his little jump thing, when you have to go through and select jump, and then you have to go through and press A again before you hit the enemy and stuff. Especially when you're using the badge, the power bounce and stuff, to where it'll do like almost infinite amount of like jumps or like stomps on enemies' heads and stuff, like the more button presses that you've done. But other than those couple of issues and stuff, it's been me going through and rediscovering why I like playing Paper Mario in general. Because I got a good easy grasp of like what game, like what chapters I need to do, where I need to go. But the biggest fascination through this playthrough was discovering which badges were actually good and which ones were actually complete shit. And there are plenty of badges that are complete shit. But one of the good examples is there is a badge that's called Deep Focus, which Mario has an ability to gain later on in the game, to where I think it's after the first chapter, where you gain this ability to select an option that requires you to focus, and that recharges your little star gauge and stuff like that in order for you to eventually fill it up and use like select one of a couple of different star attacks and stuff. Like, for example, the first one you get is called Refresh, to where it recovers 5 health points and 5 flower points to Mario and stuff, but that takes up a turn. It takes up Mario's turn and stuff. But when it comes to that initial game and that initial time and stuff like that, the badges and discovering which ones were excellent has been pretty fun, because I've already obviously known the power bounce one, for the jump. That one has been broken. I knew that one, but there were a couple other ones I liked too, which was like there was like there was like this thing called Zap Tap, right? To where you equipped it on the Mario, enemies hit you or do like physical attacks, you get to shock them for like 1 damage and stuff like that. But no, the initial thing of the badges and stuff, from like badges, say like not Defend Plus, or even in regards to like Power Plus or something like that, it's just redistributing a whole bunch of the different badges, trying to keep track of when you level which one of the 3 stats that you want to upgrade first. Like say you go through and level up and you don't have, like, you're having trouble maintaining health or something against like specific enemies in a chapter. Okay, you level up, add a couple of points right there in your health. Okay, maybe the next thing is you don't have enough badge points or something like that to equip the badges you need, even though you do need a couple in regards to key situations or situational ones. Well, level up, increase BP or this or that. The thing is, when you do playthroughs of Paper Mario, 2 things in mind. One, flower points are the most important, because that is where most of your best attacks are going to be using. They're going to be using these FP points. But second, I would say, would be the badge points, because even though you can increase it a maximum about 30, you definitely want to try to max out that initially too. So there were at points where I was at chapter 3 or 4, and I literally had 15 health points, right, throughout that initial halfway through the game. But I focused so much like on flower points and badge points, I literally had like 30 of the flower points, and I did have like about 18 or some badge points. So I had all these different options and all these different badges I could go through and use and do this and do that. And I ended up beating some of these bosses like pretty handily. One of the most hilarious ones was when I went like after the conclusion of chapter 5. Yeah, it was after chapter 5. There is this one Koopa that you get to encounter on your trip back to, like, say, Koopa Village, right? He's called Kent, like Kent C. Koopa. And this dude is like, he's fucking tough. He's got 70 health points. He has a maximum of 10 like attack, right? So initially got my ass handed to me the first time around because I mismanaged what I could do in regards to against him. There's a star attack that's called Chill Out that does debuffing and stuff like that. So it decreases his attack. I have my partner called is a little cheap. She's named, I think her name is Sushi. And she can actually go forth and help you in regards to doing different types of attacks. So she'll actually help build like a defensive wall on you by different types of button presses and stuff. You can increase your defense +1. So I was initially going with using this one badge for my jump that's called a D down jump, right? And to where this badge, it actually whittles down an opponent's defense. And it whittles down their opponent's defense and stuff, like with uses, like it lowers down their barrier resilience, this and that. So before I was hardly doing anything with jump attacks, and then I was doing like about 6 or something for Mario's attack. Bar in mind, switching between 2 different partner characters, using some of the attacks that are not like, say, physical damage, but like explosion damage or effect damage that went through and finally was able to like essentially knock him out with like about 3 health points left in my thing. That felt great. That was a good challenge in that regards. But yeah, the things about the story, the way the game looks, I mean, the creativity in terms of how you get to do puzzle solving throughout this game. I mean, currently I'm on chapter 6. I have to face off against this boss called a Huff and Puff, which is, or actually, yeah, it's Huff and Puff. It's this gigantic, like, one of Bowser's minions, this gigantic thundercloud that has taken over this area called Flower Fields, right? And so you just have big old cloudy skies and this and that, and your whole thing for this chapter is to defeat Huff and Puff, get the star spirit that's captured by this boss, and then just like gain that star ability and stuff, and then go proceeding to the chapter, the next chapter, and repeat that, But yeah, game's great, gameplay's fun, simple, and stuff. There's a reason why when South Park makers and stuff, like when Obsidian Games and like South Park creators, Matt and Trey Parker, went together and created the Stick of Truth and stuff, that was one of the points of emphasis in regards to the gameplay because of how simplistic and fun that was. So taking a lot of hints from games like Paper Mario, from where it's like a different type of button presses. Okay, so you want to use a hammer attack. Hold the stick to the left for a certain amount of time, and once that thing gives you the cue, like let it go. Do a hammer attack, do basic things like that. But yeah, I realize that Paper Mario is an incredibly old game and it's an incredibly classic game, but at the same time, it just goes into the foray where just because a game is released or you've played the game like over and over and stuff, you'll still discover a new way of how to play this game or how to enjoy a game you've played in the past. And that in and of itself, I feel like it has been worth it. I feel like I'm getting close to beating it, but yeah, I probably am going to be focusing more upon finishing up that and possibly starting something new this upcoming week.
Nice. Cool. Very cool, Gables. Well, we'll have
Yeah.
Pokemon next week, so we'll be back next week, at least with our early impressions on that. But if you like all this, like the show, had a good time, please, like I said, begin the show, follow, subscribe. We're on everything: Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. You think of it, you name it, we're on it. Follow, subscribe, like I said. Thank you so much for listening.
And I have been Colonel Gables. Until next time, everyone, have yourself a fun time. Play some great-ass games. But most importantly, thank you for listening to another fun-filled episode of the Drunk-Nerds podcast. Yeah.
And hey, Gables. Banjo-Kazooie remake win. Bye, guys.